They said time heals everything. But when Amara saw him again, the man who broke her heart, she realized time only teaches you how to smile while bleeding inside. Amara had spent years learning how to live without Damian Blake. She'd built a life from the ashes of heartbreak, a quiet, polished, carefully managed life that didn't depend on anyone but herself. At 26, she was one of the youngest real estate consultants in the city, known for her grace, charm, and the subtle way she could sell even the coldest mansion to the richest beer. To everyone around her, she was the definition of composed, coffee in hand, heels clicking against marble floors, her natural hair styled neatly, her smile soft but distant. No one knew that every time she closed another deal, she was also closing another door in her heart. Love had failed her once, and she promised it would never get another chance. Until the day his name reappeared. It was a Wednesday afternoon, the kind that smelled of rain and deadlines. When her boss, Mr. Cole, walked into her office, he tossed a thick brown file onto her desk, smiling proudly. "New client," he said. "Luxury mansion on Banana Island. You close this, Amara, and you'll break your own record." She smiled faintly, flipping the file open. The property looked stunning: glass walls, an infinity pool, the kind of place that made people believe in new beginnings. But then her eyes caught the name printed neatly on the top page. Client, Damian Blake. Her smile faded. The air in the room shifted. It couldn't be that Damian. Not after 5 years. Not after everything that happened. She blinked, trying to convince herself it was just a coincidence. There were probably dozens of men named Damian Blake in Lagos, right? Still, her fingers trembled as she closed the file. That name, that memory, carried the weight of a past she'd worked too hard to bury. Saturday came faster than she expected. Her heels clicked across the marble floor of the Banana Island mansion as she waited for her client to arrive. The air was heavy with expensive silence, the kind that filled places built for people who could afford peace. She'd chosen her outfit carefully, a cream blazer, black pencil skirt, natural curls pulled back neatly. She looked professional, detached, perfect. Then she heard it, the deep rumble of a car engine outside. A sleek black Mercedes pulled up, and when the driver's door opened, her heart stopped. It was him, Damian Blake. 5 years hadn't dulled his presence. He was taller now, broader shoulders beneath a fitted navy suit. His face had matured, sharper, more confident, but those eyes, those same dark, steady eyes that once made her feel like the only girl in the world. He smiled politely when he saw her. Not the smile that used to undo her, but a new, restrained one, the kind used in boardrooms and business meetings. "Miss Amara," he said, his voice deep and calm. "It's been a while." Her heart skipped, but her lips formed the professional smile she'd mastered over the years. "Yes, Mr. Blake, welcome." She gestured toward the mansion doors, praying her voice didn't tremble. They walked through the house in silence, the sound of her heels echoing through the glass halls. She spoke about square footage, lighting, and architecture, everything but the storm rising between them. Every time she turned, she caught him watching her, quietly, curiously, like he was searching for traces of the girl he once knew. And in some ways, she was still there, hidden beneath the woman who learned how to pretend. When they reached the upstairs balcony, he stopped walking. "Amara," he said softly, his tone no longer professional. Her name on his lips felt like a memory she wasn't ready to face. She turned to him slowly. "Yes." He studied her, his eyes lingering on her face. "You've changed." She forced a smile. "That's what time does." He nodded slightly, then said, "You look happier." That was the lie she'd perfected. "I am." But the truth was standing right in front of her, and it still made her heart ache. They finished the tour in silence, neither knowing how to bridge the years between them. As she handed him the keys, their fingers brushed. The touch was brief, accidental, but it sent a ripple through her chest. She looked up, and for a split second, the world stood still. He wasn't her client anymore. He was Damian, the boy who once waited for her under the mango tree after school. The man who whispered dreams into her hair before leaving without goodbye. She quickly looked away. "I'll send the paperwork tomorrow." He nodded, but his eyes said everything his mouth didn't. That evening, as rain began to fall against her window, Amara's phone buzzed. "Damian Blake, dinner tomorrow." To discuss the property, of course. She stared at the message for a long time. Every part of her screamed no. But her heart, the one she swore she'd locked away, whispered yes. She typed a single word, okay. The restaurant was quiet, candlelight flickering against glass walls, soft jazz playing in the background. Damian stood when she arrived, pulling out her chair like old times. He looked at her not as a client, but as someone he once knew deeply. They talked about work, business, travel, everything except what really mattered. Then, in the middle of laughter and awkward pauses, he said softly, "Do you ever think about us?" Her fork froze. She looked up, her voice low. No. But the light burned in her throat. He smiled sadly. "I never stopped." Her heart stuttered. "You left without a word, Damian. You don't get to say that." "I know," he said, eyes lowering. "I was scared. I thought I was doing the right thing for both of us. But walking away from you was the biggest mistake of my life." Tears gathered in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "It's too late." "Is it?" he asked softly. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to protect herself, but she couldn't deny what was still alive between them. The following days blurred into a series of messages, meetings, and moments she couldn't explain. Damian showed up more often, asking questions about the mansion, then about her life, then about the things they never said. Each time, she tried to stay distant, but every conversation felt like peeling back layers of time. One evening, after closing another deal, she found him waiting outside her office. "I just wanted to see you," he said simply. Her heart softened. "Damian, I don't expect you to forgive me," he continued, "but I need you to know I never stopped caring." She sighed, torn between logic and longing. "People change." He smiled faintly. "Not when it comes to love." Days later, it rained again, the kind of soft, steady rain that brings back every buried memory. Amara stood by her window, watching droplets slide down the glass when her phone rang. It was him. "Come downstairs," he said. She hesitated, then did. He was there, standing in the rain, soaked and smiling like a fool. "Damian," she shouted. "You'll get sick." "Then come get me out of the rain," he said, half laughing. She walked closer, her heart racing. "You're impossible. And you're still beautiful," he said softly. She froze. For a moment, everything disappeared, the years, the pain, the distance. All that remained was the way he looked at her, like he was home. She whispered, "You can't just walk back into my life like nothing happened." He took a step closer. "I'm not asking to erase the past, Amara. I'm asking for a chance to make it right." Her heart trembled. She could feel her walls breaking one by one. And when he reached for her hand, she didn't pull away. A month later, the Banana Island mansion, to Damian Blake. But it wasn't the house that mattered. It was what it represented, a place where endings turned into beginnings. Sometimes, fate doesn't ask for permission before reopening old wounds. It just whispers, "It's time." And when Amara walked through that mansion again, this time not as a realtor, but as the woman standing beside the man she once lost, she realized something simple, something pure. Love doesn't always come back to repeat the past. Sometimes, it returns to write a better ending. Kindly subscribe.